सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरं सर्ववेदान्तसिद्धान्त गोचरं तमगोचरं गोविन्दं परमानन्दं सद्गुरुं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। We continue our study of gunas, and we are in the study of Tamoguna, its nature and its effect. So starting from shlokas 113 up to 116 is this Tamoguna, and we are seeing today 115. We saw 114 yesterday. Continuing with our study over here. Abhavana va viparita bhavana asambhavana vipratipattirasyaha samsargayuktam na vimunchati dhruvam vikshepa shaktihi kshapayatyajastram. This is important shloka because it talks about various types of thought pattern, and each one of us have these basic type of thought patterns which allow us to extract information out of this world. It allows us to make sense of this world. So, abhavana. Abhavana va viparita bhavana asambhavana vipratipatta asyaha. So, asyaha tamogunaha, of this tamoguna, these bhavanas are present in us. This type of thought pattern are generated by this. And samsarga yuktam navi munchati dhruvam. Samsarga yuktam, endowed with transmigration. Samsarga yuktam, it connects us with this entire transmigration in this ocean of samsara. Dhruvam na munchati, and it doesn't leave us quickly. It keeps us bound over there. Such is this vikshepa shaktihi ajastra shapayati. Constantly ajasram shapayati. It stirs us, it disturbs us, it pulls the very rug from underneath our feet. And this is what this Vikshepa Shakti does after, the Tamoguna is Avarna Shakti, And it works because the Tamoguna has now enveloped our own true nature, because our own higher nature is not known as a pure reflection over here. That Tamoguna now working together with Rajoguna, it creates a movement. And this movement, Vikshepa Shakti, Ajasram Kshapayati, it just torments us. How does it do that? These are the 4 types of bhavanas in the first 2 lines are talked about. So, how does it trouble us? So, the first one is abhavana. Abhavana is born out of a very strong sense of identity with the body. Aham deha bhavana is so strong, and because the aham deha bhavana, because it is so strong, it is difficult for such a person to understand, I am Atma. I am Atma is not known because aham deha, I am this body. And thus, whatever scripture is saying, over here Gurudev is saying absence of right judgment. It is not there. The Guru may teach, Shastra may indicate, there is no understanding. The dullness of the equipment is so much, it is not capable of knowing what is this proper bhavana, what is the proper thinking. Then, a viparita bhavana. Viparita bhavana over here, contrary judgment is what Gurudev is saying. And for this viparita bhavana, the first one, abhavana, this abhavana is non-acceptance. I jumped ahead. It is non-acceptance. It is complete rejection of scriptural teaching, and that is why it is difficult for that person to understand Tattvamasi. Sorry about it. Abhavana, just absence of right judgment. And because of that, the scriptural teaching is rejected. There is complete rejection. Now, Viparita Bhavana, now the identification with the body is so strong. Over there it was just sheer dullness, complete inertia when it comes to Abhavana. Now it is Viparita Bhavana. What is the Viparita Bhavana? The equipment is not just dull, it is dull, but there is also some Chetana Shakti because we are talking about over here Vikshepa Shakti. This movement is there, but the movement is more gravitated towards Aham Deha. I am the body, I am the body, I am the body. Continuously, the tadatmyam with this body, this identification with the body is so strong that the person is not able to take the attention of the mind and the intellect for something higher. It goes towards the body, and whatever objects are conducive for the body, buzz, that is all the radar of this mind and intellect is. So, viparita bhavana, opposite of this ahamatma. When we say that I am Atma, then we positively say I am not the body. But now I am the body is taken as me. And this consciousness is not understood, and that is this viparita bhavana. Then the next one is samshaya, and that is known as sambhavana or even asambhavana. They are both taken as shamshaya. Shamshaya, it is doubt is there, and they will not verbally reject I am the body, but they are filled with lot of doubts. How is this possible? How can the scripture say that not only there is Bhagavan, but Bhagavan alone is? Not that Bhagavan, there's one Paramatma in the heavenly world. No. The Shastra says, Bas, Ekam Sat, this one truth, that is very difficult for them to process. And lots and lots and lots of doubt. How is Advaitam possible? As it is, Advaitam is not easy to digest. And this is one of the reasons why the equipment is not capable of piercing through this. And Advaita, Vishishta Advaita, and Bhagavan Krishna says, Shamshayatma vinashyati. All these doubts. If we don't clarify our doubts, then we will destroy ourselves. Even the doubting Thomas, they say the person continuously looks behind their back. Is it okay? Is this okay? Right, night time when they go to bed, every door has to be not just checked, double check, triple check, quadruple check. All of the alarm has to be turned on, and not sure if the alarm turn it off, turn it on again. Arey. So this very sense of protecting I, me, mine, and anything that belongs to I, me, and mine. That is very strong, and it doesn't allow them to live properly. And vipratipattihi. Vipratipattihi, the fourth one is misunderstanding. One is doubt. But ye to bas kuch vipariti bhavna, completely different. Teacher is saying you are not the body, but it is understood as I am the body. That much confusion at the level of vritti that it is not even heard properly. Something else is heard. So that is the misinterpretation of scriptures. Pratipatti is jnanam. Vipratipatti, opposite of jnanam. That is mentioned over here. And these four, they kshapayati ajastram vikshepa shaktihi. These troubles, it torments, it tortures, it constantly stirs and disturbs the inner poise of the jiva. The jiva is not able to abide in the inner peace. Gurudev used to say, quiet, alert, vigilant. What quietude of mind? There is no quietude. All these different types of bhavana, abhavana, asambhavana, viparita bhavana, vipratipatti, all of this, it just takes the jiva into a different direction, and that's why in the third line it is said, samsarga yuktam dhruvam namuchyati. Namunchati. This person is taken towards transmigration. Continuously, many a births the person takes, many a lives the person takes, but these type of erroneous understanding is never wiped out. So in this way, as long as there is tamas, all of these are present over here, and when the intellect is veiled, of the Tamoguna over here, then the Rajo acting upon it, all of these bhavanas come out, and it pranks the own antakarana. These gunas are strong enough, it starts projecting endlessly, and the individual jiva suffers not only in this birth, but continues to suffer in birth after birth after birth. And not only that, but the ignorance filled life also creates trouble for others around them. And this is how this Tamoguna. Now these are, the symptoms of this Avarna Shakti are talked about over here. Ajnanamalasya jadatva nidra pramada mudhatva mukha tamogunaha etaif prayukto nahi vetti kinchan nidraluvat sambhavadeva tishtati. Ajnanam, ignorance. Then alasya, laziness. Then jadatva, dullness, inertia, inertness. Nidra, sleeping. Pramad, inadvertentness. Mudatva mukhaha, continuously. In English we said, what are you, stupid? That what to do? Some person going on into the stupidity and deluded, constantly erring in life. Constantly there are mistakes. And in this way, mudatva mukhaha tamogunaha etaihi prayuktaha. Endowed with all these tamogunaha, tied up with it, endowed with it, the tamoguna attributes of tamogunaha, with all these etaihi, nahi na vetti, the person doesn't come to know. He doesn't come to know, doesn't come to comprehend their own higher nature. Kinchit, not even a wee bit. Nidraluvat, stambhavat, eva tishtati. Nidraluvat, stambhavat. Nidraluvat, like sleeping. Meaning, completely withdrawn. Jagrat avasthayam, yet not available in Jagrat avastha. Stambhavat, like a post, sthanu, a pillar. And in this way, a person abides in this way. Etai prayukto nahi vetti kinchana nidraluvat stambhavat eva tishtati. The person abides in this tamoguna, and by the influence and preponderance of this tamoguna, the person gets continuously deluded in all of this and is not able to come out. Now, Sattva Guna, its nature and its effect, 117, 18, 19, the next three shlokas, the Sattva Guna is talked about. Sattvam vishuddham jalavat tathapi tabhyam militva saranaya kalpate yatratma bimbah pratibimbatah san prakashayatyarka ivakhilam jadam. So over here, Sattvam Vishuddham. So over here, what is talked about is Shuddha Sattva. And this Vishuddha Sattva, Jalavat Tathapi, by nature, it is pure like water. Water is just completely transparent, pure. Nothing but just water in it. That's it. And then, when dirt gets mixed up in water, water becomes dirty. We say the water has become dirty. And more dirt gets into it. We say the water also starts stinking. When mala is mixed with water, over a period of time it stinks. But when mala is removed, that same dirty water, sewer water, they recycle and clean it up. The city sanitation department, they'll take the very dirty water is taken and it goes through purification process up to the point where from the sanitation department, imagine the filthy, dirty water, again, Shuddha water can be produced by removing dirt. So over here, the Shuddha Sattva Guna is absolutely pure. And then Tabhyam Militva Saranaya Kalpate. But Tabhyam Militva, united with Rajoguna and Tamoguna. That is what is meant by Tabhyam Militva. That Shuddha Sattva united with Rajas and Tamas, Saranaya Kalpate, it becomes a cause of transmigration. And this Shuddha Sattva, you know what it becomes? It becomes Malina Sattva. Malina because it is mixed with Rajas and Tamas. And because of the admixture of Rajoguna and Tamoguna with Shuddha Sattva, the Shuddha Sattva just becomes Malina Sattva. And that Sattva, the Malina Sattva, Rajas and Tamas, Saranaya Kalpate. Now that mixture of Rajas, Tamas and Malina Sattva becomes a cause of transmigration. That is what is talked about over here. And now example is given over here. Yatra Atma Bimbaha Pratibimbita San Prakashayati Arka Prakashayati Iva Akhila Jadam. That very famous example, I've used this before, about the reflected sun. Arka is sun. Pratibimba, reflection. We take a bucket of water, and if the reflection which falls into the bucket of water, if the water is pure, if the water is clean, the reflection is incredibly clean. But if the bucket of water is dirty, the reflection is not clean, the reflection itself is hazy. So what is said over here is, because of this combination of Malina Sattva, Rajas and Tamas in the pool of Antakarana, when the light of consciousness, so to speak, just like the light of the sun, in the same way, the consciousness, when it reflects in this pool of water, what happens? Prakashayati. It illumines. What does it illumine? It illumines Akhila Jadam. Whatever is around that Antakarana, it will illumine all of that. Just like the sunlight illumines the whole world, and that reflected sunlight from the bucket casts a reflection onto the wall, and now the wall space is illumined. Of the entire wall, the place where the reflection is casted on the wall, that much part of the wall is now illumined. In the same way, when the original consciousness reflects into the pool of Mana Buddhi Chitta Hankar, which is smitten by Rajas, Tamas and Malina Sattva, when it is mixed with all of them, it will Akhila Jadam Prakashayati. Arka Iva, just like the sun, as though the sun, just like the sun, the Jada is illumined. What is the Jada? First, it will illumine the mind. It will illumine the intellect. That's why the person will say, oh, I am emotional, I'm angry, my feelings are not proper. All of this is illumined. Then I know this, but I also don't know. So the jadatva of the buddhi, the jadatva of the mana, and obviously this body, which is nothing but the Pancha Mahabhutas over here also, but over here the grossified 5 elements, all the Jada Vastu, Sharir, and all the objects that it perceives, that is what is meant by Prakashayati Arka Iva Akhila Jadam. Akhila, all what comes in contact with it. So whatever we are perceiving, that is all lit up. Whatever we are feeling, that is lit up. Whatever we are thinking, all of that is lit up. And in this way, the person comes to know Akhila entire inert world. So they are inert objects. Then plants, they are also sthanu, but they are not jada. Some amount of consciousness is there. They are able to extract nutrients from the earth, the light of the sunlight, and the air. Photosynthesis, they are able to maintain a simple life. Higher than that, the animal kingdom. And even if within the animal kingdom, we see a gradation of consciousness, a single cellular organism as compared to chimpanzees and gorillas, and higher than that, the human beings, where the range of consciousness is so high. Because the equipment is able to shine more and more and more of Sattva Guna over here. So the quality of the Sattva Guna over here allows the person to exercise more of this buddhi, and in this way the equipment, because of the presence of Sattva, it is capable of knowing. Greater than the human experience is devatas. And beyond that, pure awareness. And what is that pure awareness? Pure awareness is known as Shuddha Sattva. It is not Malina Sattva, it is pure objectless awareness. There are no gunas. It abides in pure awareness. That's why this Sattva, is it Malina Sattva over here or Shuddha Sattva over there? So this is Sattva Guna. Now, see, there is also gradation of Sattva Guna. The Sattva Guna also exists as, Manda, Madhyam, and then Shuddha. Manda Sattva Guna, feeble, weak. It is overpowered by Rajas and Tamas. Actually, overpowered by Rajas and Tamas, and because of that, the expression of this Sattva as Manda is more on the Jadatva side. And then when we say Madhyam, moderate Sattva, then it is mixed with some more Rajas and less Tamas. And such a person is able to express more Sattva. And then strong Sattva Guna and very little Rajas and Tamas, that person, Malina Sattva, Mishrita Sattva, and Shuddha Sattva. This is how even that gradation in Sattva continues. In even the Sattva Guna, one is, I have talked about, the Manda and Madhyam. But then for the higher, for the third quality, within the third, also there is a gradation. And that gradation, is it a Malina Sattva, is it a Mishrita Sattva, or is it a Shuddha Sattva? The first one is Malina Sattva, bound. Then the next one, Mishrita Sattva, a person is a Adhikari, a qualified student of Vedanta. Vivek, Vairagya, Shat Sampatti, Shama, Dhamma, Uparati, Titiksha, Shraddha, Samadhan, Mukshutvam. All these qualities are present in the Antakarana, but these qualities are direct result of Sattva Guna, the presence of Sattva Guna. And the qualified student of Vedanta, such a Adhikari, Sadhan Chatushtaya Adhikari, is Mishrita Sattva. And now their job is to remove or separate Mishrita Sattva from Rajas and Tamas. The sadhan and the sadhana is to separate Shuddha Sattva from the rajas and tamas. Because of the presence of the body, rajas and tamas is there. But the person abides more and more and more in sattva and sattva and sattva and sattva. Up to the point where the person enters Shuddha Sattva. Such a person is known as Sthita Prajna, a self-realized soul. Because the self-realized soul still has a body. They have a mind. They have intellect. But they have risen above the binding nature of mind. They have risen above the thoughts and ideas which are suffocating. The thoughts have become absolutely divine. They, in fact, objectify all thoughts. Their Chetana Shakti is so powerful, they are abiding in Shuddha Sattva, that the presence of that pure awareness is capable of burning this. You know, when sunlight passes through a concave mirror, and if there is a paper existing on the bottom side of the concave mirror, and when that powerful sunlight passes through this very dense, pure mirror, clean, concave mirror, the sunlight converges into a spot. And that spot is capable of igniting the paper. This is what has happened. They have pulled the mind and the intellect away from the rajas and tamas, so to speak, the concaveness of that mind. And in that mind and intellect, the reflection of the higher self burns the vasanas. They have completely burned all the vasanas. This is what is talked about over here as the Shuddha Sattva versus the Malina Sattva. This is to be understood. So now, you know, this Mishrita Sattva is talked about in this next shloka. In shloka number 118, Shankaracharya ji makes a distinction of this Mishrita Sattva. And in shloka number 117 is Malina Sattva. So you can think of it as, you know, 25% sattva in 117, because sattvam vishuddham jalavat tathapi tabhyam militva saranaya kalpate. This shuddha sattva, when it mixes with rajas and tamas, it becomes a cause of transmigration. And how much sattva is there? So we can say 25%. Now over here, Mishrita Sattva. That sattva is mixed with rajas and tamas, but rajas and tamas has reduced and sattva has increased. So now 50% is sattva, and remaining 50% is divided in rajas and tamas. And who is such a person? So what is described over here is a mumukshu. A mumukshu who has a little higher sattvic qualities of antakarana as compared to Baddha samsari, who is doped in this world, who has not had a bhagya of hearing, doing some shravanam of shastra. This mumukshu now is qualified for sadhana of shravanam, mananam and nididhyasana. And this shravanam, mananam, nididhyasana, it is shravanam removes ignorance. Mananam, reflection, removes shamshaya. What was that? We saw those bhavanas, abhavana, asambhavana, viparita bhavana, vipratipatti bhavana. All of this, mananam will now remove that. What are those? Those are the qualities and effect of rajo and tamoguna. The tamoguna veils and rajas projects. So when the sattva increases and when shravanam is there, avidya is removed, doubts are removed. So all these bhavanas are removed. And when all these bhavanas are removed, veiling and projecting are also reducing. And when they are reduced, now the sattva begins to shine by itself. So for such a person, moksha becomes priority. They are on an agenda. What is the agenda? I have to find liberation in this birth itself. Moktum ichha now arrives. And that is described over here, the moksha being the priority of the life of a person, mishrita sattva, sattva gunam, mishrita sattvam for this mumukshu. Mishrasya sattvasya bhavanti dharmaha त्वमानिताद्या नियमायमाद्याः श्रद्धा च भक्तिश्च मुमुक्षुता च दैवी च सम्पत्त्यसन्निवृत्तिः. Very beautifully Shankaracharya ji over here describes, he says, Mishrasya sattvasya, for a person who has this mishrita sattva, but the sattva is beginning to show more and more dharmaha bhavanti. These are the dharmas. And what are the dharmas over here? It says, dharmaha tu amanitadhyaha. Amanitadhyaha, he is borrowing the words of Bhagavad Gita. Qualities like amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, acharyopasanam chaiva, stairyam atma vinigraha. All of these qualities talked about in Bhagavad Gita, amanitvam, adambitvam, ahimsa, kshantirarjavam, all of these qualities which are talked about in Bhagavad Gita, and also absence of pride, etc., amanitvam ityadi, niyamaha yamadhyaha, pancha niyama and pancha yamaha. Pancha yamaha over here, ahimsa, satya, brahmacharya, then asteya and aparigraha. These are born out of sattvic qualities. Ahimsa, a life of non-violence. It's a Sattva Pradhan Prakriti. Asteya, ahimsa, satyam, truthfulness, a thought, word and deed. Brahmacharya, senses under control. Then asteya, non-stealing, living a complete life of dharma, aparigraha, and not holding on to things which don't belong to them, not grabbing something which is not there. And then pancha niyamaha, shaucha, purity, santoshaha, having a satisfaction, complete fulfillment within, santoshaha. Tapaha, there is a type of austerity. To live a life of sattva is tapas. Rishis are all doing tapas. They give up sensory life. They give up food and water, and in a quiet place they remain in silence in their own presence. Tapas. Not acting upon senses, tapascharya. Then swadhyaya, self-study, and Ishwar pranidhanam, and complete surrender to Bhagavan. So all of these qualities, these qualifies a person for moksha, and endowed with shraddha cha bhaktischa. Very essential quality, having a deep resonating faith that I will be able to put an end to all tamas, all of this tamas and rajoguna, everything I will be able to. In this birth itself, I will be able to. Having this firm faith in Shastreshu, Guru Vakyeshu, having complete faith in the teacher and the Shastra, and completely staying devoted to Bhagavan. Reverence for Shastra, reverence for Guru, and reverence for Ishvara. And such a person has mumukshuta, having great yearning for liberation. Daivi cha sampatti asannivrittihi. These are the divine qualities. That's why 16th chapter, Daivasura sampat vibhaga yogo. So, in this way, this Mishrita Sattva gives jnanam to these qualities and all these asuric qualities are all rakshasi and asuri qualities. All of these will come to an end, and in this way such a person cultivates good qualities, because of which they are able to come out of the transmigration, and this is what we call Mishrita Sattva. And this Mishrita Sattva will keep on rising. Malina Sattva to Mishrita Sattva, and Mishrita Sattva to Shuddha Sattva. This is the growth pattern mentioned over here for a student. Now this one is Shuddha Sattva. So Malina Sattva, Mishrita Sattva, and now this shloka talks about Shuddha Sattva. And all Shuddha Sattva, 75% greater, and still pushes themselves to higher and higher and higher sattvic And what are the qualities of such a person? This is very, very important. Siddhasya lakshanani sadhakasya sadhanani. The lakshana of a siddha purusha becomes a cause for a mumukshu to take those qualities, imbibe those, cultivate those, and live those qualities, and that itself becomes the sadhana of a mumukshu. So that's why these qualities, we should cultivate these qualities. These are divine qualities. Devi Sampatti, born out of Shuddha Sattva. So it says, Vishuddha Sattvasya Guna Prasadaha Svatmanubhuti Parama Prashantihi Truptif Praharshaf Paramatmanistha Yaya Sadanandarasam Samruchati. Vishuddha Sattvasya, for the person who is abiding in this pure state of sattva, or at least higher than the last sattva that we saw, Mishrita Sattva. When the person goes more than 50%, 60%, 70%, 75%, we will see certain qualities. What are the qualities in such a person? Vishuddha Sattvasya Gunaha Prasadaha. The characteristics are Prasadaha, first quality. And what is prasad? Our understanding of prasad is, what we get in the temple. The Panditji gives one banana, one apple, or some bundi laddu, or whatever it is, and we call it prasad. This prasad is a very placidity and tranquility of mind over here. The mind is quiet. I mentioned quiet, alert, vigilant. That is what Gurudev used to say. A quiet mind. That itself is the greatest prasad. We'll be always happy when we get prasad from temple. We just become happy. Bhagwan ke charnon se kuch aaya hai. And sometimes we even get, a tulsi leaf, and we are happy with that. In Shiva temple, they'll give you bilva patra, and we'll happily take it. We cannot eat bilva. Some people will even eat that. Bhagwan se aaya hai, I'm going to eat this bilva. But there is no fighting. Why did he give me a bilva? What am I going to do with it? Do we throw away that bilva? No. We keep it as If it's a Parama Shiva Bhakta, you think they will throw away bilva? Absolutely not. They'll bring it home, put it in a book, dry it, press it, something they will do. But the attention will be keeping it properly. The same thing over here, the placidity and the tranquility of this mind. The mind is cheerful. That's why, I always tell people, just be happy. Learn to be happy. Cultivate Shanti. Over here, the next line says, Svatmanubhuti, the experience of one's own self. This consciousness reflects in the reflective medium of mind and the intellect. And this reflective medium is no longer moving. Why? Prasad. It is tranquil, quiet. So what happens in here? The reflection is going to shine. See, each one of these makes perfect sense. Swa Atma Anubhuti. In that quiet mind and intellect, you think they will think about some other nonsense? Are mujhe ye nahi mila, I'm very happy, I'm very sad, I'm very... bilkul nahi. Anger means the mind is not quiet. The minute it is said over here, prasadaha, prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayata, prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishthati. The Sthita Prajna Lakshan, Bhagavan uses the same word prasad. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajayate. When prasad comes, all sorrows vanish. Why? Because mind is just, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. They're fulfilled not because they got some object or because they did not get the thing that they did not want. They are happy regardless of what happens. In spite of, they are happy. That is prasanna chetaha. And from that quiet mind, even for a moment we can acquire still mind, that momentary reflection will be seen. All of a sudden, we know we are on the right path. Doubts will disappear. बस एक glimpse मिल गया. बस I know I am not taken in for a ride. This is the right direction. Svatmanubhutihi. Parama prashantihi. Not just shanti, prashantihi. I keep on telling people, we're थोड़ी झगड़ा करते रहते हैं, in marital relationship and all that. Just keep the household in peace. And then they keep on telling me, Are, what do you know? It is a dharma of husband wife. You have to fight. We will fight. Usme kya? Every mantra in Upanishad ends with Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. It is to be cultivated. अपने आप तो शांति आने वाली है ही नहीं. No Shanti is going to come by itself. Shanti yame vaisha vrunte tena labhyah tasyesha atma vivrunte tanuswam. Upanishad says, he who chooses it, Atma chooses them. So, we have to choose that. Shuddha Sattva is being cultivated. Remain in Shuddha Sattva. If somebody instigates, let them instigate. Objectify it. Move on. Don't give the key to your own happiness to somebody else. Gurudev used to say. Keep the key to the happiness in your own pocket. This is how we retain it. We don't give somebody else the upper hand on the sthiti of our antakarana. That is Parama Prashantihi. Truptihi. Yallabase nija karmotpatam vittam tena vinodaya chittam. Trupti, bas. From Trupti rises Santushti. So, Trupti, completely contentment, some contentment. Praharshaha, cheerfulness. The expression of the inner joy. Just it is shared. Paramatma nishtha. And slowly, devotion to the Supreme Self. Earlier, it is seva to the world. Bhagavan calls it karma yoga. We serve the world. And by serving the world, we are acquiring punya to purchase the Shuddha Sattva. And when we are capable of purchasing this punya of Shuddha Sattva, to that extent, even karma yoga slowly, it diminishes. Now what is the seva? Atma seva. Do you hear about Ramana Maharshi ji going and serving Tiruvannamalai? Did he establish anything for feeding the poor, doing some seva, cleaning up the mountain? Did he do anything like that? What was his seva? Abidance. Tasya smrutihi tatra drudaiva nishtha. This is what Ramana Maharshi ji says. Sat darshanam in that textbook. Tasya smrutihi tatra drudaiva nishtha. The smruti of Bhagavan is the nishtha. That is his seva. He sat for 18 hours a day. Bas. Seva of what? Right here. Paramatma nishtha. We should learn to curtail all our senses and bring ourselves in this lokas. That's why in Sthita Prajna Lakshan, Bhagavan Krishna uses the example of a tortoise. Yada samharate chayam kurmonganiva sarvashaha atmanyevatmana. Bas. This is Paramatma Nishtha. Yaya, by which Sada Anandarasam Sramuchati. This is by Yaya Sadanandarasam, the essence of everlasting bliss of self, Sada Ananda Ekarasam Sramuchati, one comes to enjoy. So, what is the difference between Swatmanubhuti and Paramatma Nishtha? The difference between is knowledge alone. When it is said that Paramatma Nishtha, it is Pratibandha Rahita Jnana. Absence of obstacles. In Jnana Nishtha, there is no obstacles. But in the first one, in Swatmanubhuti, when that Anubhuti is there, Jnanam is there, but there are some obstacle that pulls the person out. The continuous abidance is not there. See, these are very subtle differences. If you don't get it, don't worry about it. But we can try to practice this. Jnani doesn't claim he is Vishuddha Sattva. From the standpoint of others who looks at Jnani, says, aha, what Sattva Guna he is in. People used to say, Gurudev, you remember so much. Your memory. Because there is nothing else over there. There's no agenda. There's no vasana. What is seen alone is us. The transaction is so clean. He cannot but remember anything and everything. That is pratibandha rathita jnana. No obstacles. We label such a person, Vah, kya chetana shakti hai. But does he say that? No. For him, it is a fact that the mind is like that. He is not going to go out there and scream at the top of a mountain in a sermon that dekho humne kya ikhattha kiya hai. Arey what? He just got rid of tamas and rajas. That's all. This is Vishuddha Sattva. And we should cultivate this in our life. I've written so many, different notes over here over a period of time when I go and I read and I get more and so many things I want to say. But then we will be just stuck in this one shloka. So thinking about the subject, it is not a thought. But thinking about an object, that is a thought. Because that object is conditioned by time and place. The subject is free of time and place. To that extent, the buddhi also has to be free from time and place. It becomes sarvagata, sarvavyapakata. It becomes that. That smriti is, again, see, we use language to indicate that, but language falls short of understanding realization. What? Tasya smritihi tatra dridaiva nishtha. Raman Maharshi Ji says, just the remembrance of Atma is abidance. Now, does he remember Atma? Arey, he's never away from Arunachala. What to even think about remembering? But this is the, problem of language. We don't have words for the description of Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Bas, it is a noun. And we are utilizing language and verb to indicate that the adverbs cannot touch it. Verbs, though, absolutely not. Kriyatmakaha is the Rajas and Tamoguna. What Kriyatmaka? There is no Kriya over there. So this is the problem when we try to interpret, tasya smritihi. Now, please don't think that he sits over there and is making an effort of thinking of Arunachala. No, that is also, he actually is Arunachala. Bas, finished. And can he be other than that? No, that is Dhrudaiva Nishtha. Bas. Vishuddha Sattvasya. So we can cultivate that. Very, very beautiful, very beautiful. Bliss born out of Purnatva. Such a person is Purna. With this, the Maya, her three gunas, all of that is over. Now the next section is Karana Sharira. Remember, Anatma is being described over here. It has started from 70 something and it is still going on. Anatma, Anatma. So we forget that Anatma Vastu, these three gunas are also Anatma Vastu. That was described. We will continue. Sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaः, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukha bhag bhavet. Om shanti shanti shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.